Well, hi, friend. Welcome to the show today. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, even thinking about your kid going to college, how am I going to pay for it? Is it the right fit? And my kid doesn't even know what to do. Like, how am I going to even ensure that they take this seriously, that they want to go to college? How do I get the most out of this experience? Well, this is what we're going to be talking about today with our special guest, Shellee Howard, and she's a mom of four, all of whom went to college, get this, debt free, debt free. And by the way, including her son went to Harvard. And she's also the founder and CEO of College Ready. And she has helped thousands of families through the stress and overwhelm of college admissions, scholarships, financial aid, and everything in between. And she's also on a mission to offer unparalleled support and help to get your kid into the best school for them at the lowest possible cost. And that's all I'm going to tell you because Shellee has such a great story, personal story. And so, Shellee, just take it away. Like, how did you start doing this? Where where do you want to even lead off? We'd love to hear.
I'm happy to help. And thank you so much, Cheryl, for having me on your show. So, listeners, I'm hoping to give you massive value today. First, I think it's important to know who I am and how I got started. So, I'll start with that. As the owner of College Ready, I've been doing college applications for 18 years. I know most of you are thinking, why would you ever want to do that for 18 years? But I love inspiring teenagers. And so it all started actually, College Ready started back in 2008 when my oldest came home from middle school. I'll never forget, it was springtime and he was super excited coming home. And I thought it's because he was hungry, like most of the time. But no, truly, he's like, Mom, I know exactly what I want to do and I know exactly where I want to go to college. Can you help me? And it was very matter of a fact. And I was like, of course I can. I'm your mom, right? Moms can do anything. And he says, oh, that's great because the high school counselors came to my middle school today and said that we need to pick our first classes for our freshman year. And I don't have a clue what classes to pick. And I said, well, what are you thinking? He says, well, I want to be a brain surgeon. I want to go to an Ivy League school. And I was like, of course you do. That's great. And then I paused for a moment. He's like, you can help me, right? And I'm like, of course I can. I'm your mom. And it was just a really surreal moment of one, I was the first to go to college on both sides of my family. Two, I changed my major 5 times. And three, he seemed more mature than I did at my age. So I was in a bit of, wow, okay, let's go with this. So long story short, he was passionate. He was driving the ship. And so I said, well, what do you want to do? And he says, well, I think we should talk to my high school counselor because when she came into the middle school, she seemed pretty confident. So we made an appointment and we went in and I said, okay, you tell her what you told me. And he did. And this was a different counselor. And this counselor said, why would you waste your time or money being a doctor? They don't make money anymore. And that's the look I gave her. The look that you are giving right now, listeners, is like, how dare you tell my child, right?
Totally.
That's not okay. And so my son then looked at me and he's like, now what? And I said, well, I guess we're done here. Thank you very much. And she says, but he's a great student. He'll be fine. And I said, but he doesn't just want to be fine. He has big hopes and dreams. So we left and I could not find support. So I ended up going back to college, getting my master's in consulting, then becoming a certified independent college consultant, then touring 25 colleges a semester. And I was all in. I still had my full-time career. but I was on a mission, a mommy mission, which of all things is quite intense. And he listened. He actually did the plan I created. And that's the first thing I have to share with all families. When they hear my story of all four graduated debt free, all four had a different strategy, a different path, and a different plan. This firstborn, he was pretty much okay. What do I do? Let's go get it done. And really didn't push back at all. And so it was quite fun and quite easy. And so I built him like I built a business. I have started 7 businesses in my lifetime and enjoyed every one of them. And now I create standout strategies for each of my clients so they can have a unique platform, find the best college fit, get accepted to the college of their dreams, and doing it without going into massive debt. So hopefully that gave you enough synopsis that you have an idea where it all started.
Yeah, well, I love that story about your son, and that then you had three other kids that were different because each of our kids are different. Some are listening and they're like, "Wow, my kid, they would not be that motivated. They're not that motivated." But what I love, and I usually wait for people to share more at the end, but when I was researching you and College Ready, I think that you really have something so unique here because you start, and I want you to tell them where you start in this whole process because I have three kids that went to college and my head was like ready to explode. It was so overwhelming. I didn't know where to start. You're focusing on saving money, which sounds great, but then you've got all these scholarships. Meanwhile, your kid doesn't really even know what their path is. They don't know what they're passionate about. So tell them like the process you take them through because I was like, wow.
So it's counterintuitive. A lot of people start with the college. Where do I want my child to go to college? I actually reverse engineer it and I focus first on the student because it is a statistic, not just a belief, that when a child becomes a teenager and they have a vision for their future, they can step into it much easier than playing ping pong or, going back and forth and being lost like I was. And this all started because I did it wrong. I was that child who loved a lot of things. And I listened to well meaning people, meaning my family, who said, do this major, do that major. And I bounced every single year, and it was so painful and so frustrating. So, what College Ready does is we first focus on your child. And what do I mean by that? We ask really fun, insightful questions of them, such things as, who are you? Who do others think you are? Who does your best friend think you are? Who do your parents think you are? And not that we want them to really be thinking about how everybody else looks at them. We're trying to show them how amazing they are in so many people's eyes. Often I will say, have you ever heard your parent talking to your grandparent or aunts and uncles, and you're a little embarrassed by what your parents are saying? That's who you are. It may not feel like who you are at the time, but guess what? Your parents are super proud of you and they're just sharing your amazing gifts and talents. So, step one, help your child find their core values. By
Mhm.
the time they're in middle school, if they value family, that is not going to go away. If they value travel, adventure, excitement, that's not going away. If they value hard work, determination, that's going to stick with them. If they enjoy silliness and playfulness and taking life very not so seriously, that's not going to change. So if you start with the core of who they are, get to their top 5 core values, you will learn so much how to communicate with that child. The second thing is I tell parents, how does your child feel loved, feel appreciated, feel seen. Because if you can't get to that, colleges will never see them, will never appreciate them, because your child's going to be forced to write an essay about who they are and what matters to them. It's not an option. If they want to go to college other than a state school, it is mandatory that they're going to have to share about what they've done and what matters to them. So why not start now? We start as young as middle school, seventh and eighth grade. We work with students all the way through college transfers. But one thing I can tell you, the longer somebody waits to start focusing on their gifts, their talents, their core values, what they advocate for, the harder this process is going to be for them. Because back in the day, we could be undeclared undecided, which is like, I have no clue what I want to do, and hopefully I'll figure it out by the time I graduate, right? Well, unfortunately, that led to a generation of students taking on debt, getting degrees that didn't have careers attached to them. And then everybody says college is worthless.
Yep.
I didn't even use my major. It's not the college's fault. It
Mm.
really is not. It's the what did we do to prepare our child for that event? Adulting, when they turn 18, right? We're preparing them, we're teaching them, we're guiding them, we're giving them advice. But somehow we skipped talking about what's important to them. And we skipped talking about allowing them to have a voice and something that they feel deeply about. So, because I love teenagers, so I just do. They're my people, they're the best people on earth. Is they're genuine. They don't sugarcoat it. They tell you how they're feeling, like it or not. As a parent of four, I can tell you it was hard receiving a lot of that as a parent. But as a consultant, I am like, that's amazing, right? And so being the parent and not judging as they're sharing, I want to be a botanist and I want to go to NYU. And you're like, whoa, 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 that's $100,000 a year. Help me understand how you pull those two together. And they're thinking, well, I want to live in a big city and I like plants. I think the environment's important. And the parent is just like, oh, you don't even know what to say at that point. You are just struck with, I don't know how to help this person. What I would say is, that sounds so exciting. What about that do you enjoy? What is it, the planting? Is it, do you like greenhouse? Do you like watching it grow? No, no, no. They say, I want to protect our environment.
Wow.
Oh, so what you really want to do is you want to be connected to environmentalism. Outstanding. Why is that something that draws you in? Well, this and this and this. And now it's allowed them a space to really step into. I didn't know the words or the career, but I do know that this is important to me. So, starting with those, think about if you were 18 years old, parents, and somebody took the time and sat you down to help you figure out your core values, your gifts, your talent, your advocacy. And then we show them here are careers that are the perfect fit. Here's how much those careers will make you. Here's how much debt you would have to take in education. And oh, by the way, AI will be doing these jobs in 4 years. Do you think that would be helpful, parents?
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
That's where we start.
I love that because you help the kids to get in touch with what they want to do, what they love doing, and what
Right.
they
And then
feel
it's their
passionate.
turn.
I would have loved somebody to do that with me.
Right.
And even to help me process through what I was afraid of to go after what I really wanted, because I didn't end up doing what I really wanted to do because I was afraid. And
Mm.
um, and so and I'm kind of doing it now, a little bit of it. It was theater. I loved acting.
Oh,
And
wow.
I got more of, I was in all the plays, and I get more of the feedback of, oh, you're never going to make money doing that.
Mm,
And oh, that's going to be a really hard road. Are you ready to waitress?
mm,
So it versus, oh, tell me about that. I love how you were modeling those questions. What do you love about it? Where would you think it would be exciting to go to school? Like, what are your hopes and dreams and aspirations? That would have opened it up rather
right.
than closing it down. And I remember somebody recently was telling me that they were talking when they were younger, they were talking to their parent about wanting to go to a certain college. And they said to them, oh, you'll
Mm.
never get in there.
Oh,
You
that's
know, and
heartbreaking. How do they
yeah,
know?
yeah. Or, oh, you wouldn't be good at that, versus like being curious. I loved how you even modeled the curiosity. We might think, say, botanists, we might think we know what our kids mean by that. But then you took it even further. Well, tell me about, and then it led, I care about the environment. And then that's like, wow, like that opens up a lot.
Yeah,
So,
and so many times as a parent, we see our child through our eyes, and there's nothing wrong with that. We want the best for them for sure, and that's why we shut down certain things. But theater is a perfect example. I help a ton of theater and band kids, and their parents are worried. And statistically, I get it.
yeah, yep.
I get it. But what I do instead is I'm like, that's a great plan A. What's plan B and what's plan C? Because we would never want you to be a statistic. So let's just kind of talk through what all of your options are. Do you want to be on stage on Broadway, or do you maybe want to open up several theater companies and manage all of that and bring more people into the arts? Like, help me understand, what do you see? And again, it helps them think, wait, it's not just this or that, or somebody's telling me, no, I can't.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. And what I see a lot of is kids nowadays, and the parents are struggling with this. They feel like they're being pushed.
Mm.
You're being told, like, oh, you need to major in business, but so the kids are not really into the whole process. Whereas you take it from a direction of what they want, and then they take ownership, and then they feel motivated.
Well, and parents are always asking for, just give me the one thing. What's the one thing that got your son into Harvard, right? That's a very common question I get. And the one thing is, my son knew exactly who he was and what mattered to him, and his essay made you laugh and cry and smell and feel. And there was no doubt you got to meet this young man through his words on his paper. His essay was published in a book, and he was student of the year and student of the month because of this one essay.
Wow.
And all it came down to was him knowing who he was and being able to share it through experiences, through internships, through research, through community service, through leadership. So his whole vision was all about, this is who I am and this is what I want to do. And I realized, right, I have 4 kids. Number 4 had no idea what she wanted to do. Number 1, he knew he wanted to be a doctor. He's now 31. He's an orthopedic surgeon, and he is just on his way. Never missed a beat. Number 2, 4 years later, she wanted to be a pediatric nurse. That's what she's doing. Went to University of Alabama, completely debt free. Number 3, he was so sure he wanted to go into news broadcasting until he got his diploma, and then he decided he wanted to be a paramedic. So there you go, a perfect example of, he was determined. I was not so sure, but I allowed him to explore that. And then number 4 was straight up honest, and she's like, I don't have a clue what I want. And it was so fun helping her explore what her strengths were. she was so not confident about any of her gifts or any of her talents. She was more self defeated than any of my other children, which was so challenging in one way, but so beautiful in another way. So we got to really focus on her. And we had some crash and burns. And guess what? That's okay. We call it failing forward, right?
Yeah.
The essays were brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Yeah, falling forward or failing forward. Yeah, the crash and burns. That will
Yeah,
happen too.
it will. And what she learned and what her essays revealed is she didn't let that stop her. She now has a huge dream. She actually just graduated from the Czech Republic of Prague at a an English international school. She got a dual US and European degree in international business. And she wants to be an entrepreneur. And that was the problem the whole time. There was no box that she fit in because entrepreneurs, we don't fit in a box.
Yep, yep.
We do not. And that's okay. They have degrees now called entrepreneurship. They
Yeah,
do
yeah,
because
yeah.
they know that there's some of us who have a lot of passions and gifts and talents and vision. And so she's working on opening up a bakery and she now thinks that she can do it. And I believe that she can because she's picked herself up from a few failing forwards.
Wow. That's so encouraging. I hope listeners that's encouraging because each kid is so different and they take different paths.
For sure.
Yeah. I have a question for you, and then I want to kind of get into the debt-free piece of it. But do you find this is kind of like where what I'm hearing, and so I want to check it out with you. I'm kind of hearing that we're leaning into more of a, do I really want to go to college? And maybe they're kind of being a little bit of a turn of less kids going to college. And then after listening to you, my thought process was, well, maybe that's because so many kids now don't know what they want to do because they haven't gotten clear about it. And number two, because of the debt and because of just the cost, that believing, like you said in the beginning, what am I going to get for this? Because I don't really know what I want to do and it's so expensive. Is it really going to matter that much? So, what do you think? What would you say to that?
That's such a profound question. And we could do a whole hour on that question alone. But this is what I want to share with parents. This generation is truly the generation of having a computer in their hand. They don't have to think anymore. They can ask ChatGPT. They don't have to do hard things that we once had to do, but they have hard things that they need to face, and that is, what do I want to do? Well, think about it. If you're looking at your computer all day long and you see everybody's best day, your life does not feel worthy. You're feeling like, wow, my life is not as great as so and so's life. And I'm not as smart as them. And I'm not as great as them. And I can't go to that. And there's so much of this heaviness that's put on this generation instead of encouragement of you can be whatever you want to be and let's go test it out and let's get excited and let's move forward and let's explore who you are. If they don't go to college, and it's fine if they don't, but what will they do? That's all I'm asking this generation. And I have no judgment. Neither of my parents went to college and they are brilliant. They are I mean, they're amazing people. There's no judgment there. My concern is if they don't go to college, my question to the student is, great. What do you plan to do? Well, I have the influencer. Well, Shellee, I have this channel and these people are following me and it's amazing. And I said, that's great today, but what is your long-term business plan? And they're like, I don't have a business plan. How do you even write a business plan? I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, okay, so maybe some education on how to write a business plan might be something that's valuable. Are you going to market? How are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to buy a home, a car? How much does a home cost? Well, I don't know that. I just live in my parents' home. Well, do you want to move out someday? Well, yes, of course I want to move out. Well, great. How much is that going to cost? Well, I have no idea. And what I'm finding is with my fun curiosity and questions, this generation lacks financial literacy.
Mm-hmm.
We parents, I'm in that bucket, we try to make their life so great that we are providing for them in such amazing ways. And we should all pat ourselves on the back until we ask our teenagers, how much will you make as a psychology major? Okay, well, they say, I don't know. And I say, okay, well, can we look it up? Well, there's no job for a psychology major. Well, then why would you pick psychology as a major if there's no jobs for it? Oh, so if I go and I have to get more schooling, which means more college and more debt. So really, I guess the easy psychology major and taking the easy path may not be the most the best return on my investment. And then we'll talk about, okay, so how much do you want to make right out of college? And they'll be like, man, if I can make 30,000, I'd be set for life. Like it would be amazing. And I'm, oh, that makes me very nervous.
Yeah.
So
You're saying all the things to the kids that the parents don't seem to be able to say too. I just make a note of that, because it's hard to talk to
it
your kid.
is.
They're more willing that third party influence to listen
Here's a
to you.
yeah, here's a fun exercise, parents. I love to give things that are going to help you parent. And so this one has been brilliant. And I did it with all four of my kids. It's never too early or never too late. Sitting down at the dinner table, everybody must be quiet except the oldest. The oldest goes first always. And the reason why is we're hoping they have a little bit more time to have thought this through. But here's how the game is played. There's two rules. The rule is no rolling of your eyes, no telling me that's stupid, or just walking out of the room because you just don't agree with it. The second rule is nobody else at this table can have an opinion, make a noise, or be gasping. I can't believe that's what they want to do. From there, if I could give you $1 million cash and you had 24 hours to spend it, or you had to give it all back to me, what would you do with it? Parents, you will find out so quickly there's no concept of what $1 million will buy. Kids are going flying all their friends on a private jet, then they're going to take them around the world, then they're going to buy each of them a new car, and it goes on and on and on and on. They're very kind to their friends. Or they may give it all to their family, which again helps. That's a core value, friends, core value. Where they spend their money on, there's a core value because where they put their money is where they think is important. The next thing is I say, great. So, how would you spend your money? I've only had one student in 18 years say, first, I would buy a beat up home and I would fix it up and then I would flip it. Then I would sell those two and I would flip that. And I'm like, what do your parents do for a living? And he says, oh, my parents flip real estate. And I'm like, and there you have it. So they brought him in early for those early conversations about what they do and what it means to their future. So, parents, wherever you're at and whatever you can provide, I just encourage you to think they don't know. They may act like they know what they want to do. Very few of them know what they want to do, what major, what career, how much money they're going to make, what's a good return on investment. So, Cheryl, to circle back to your question, here's the thing. Parents of this generation are still paying off their college loans. They're not using the major that they graduated with. They had a great time in college, but they don't want their kid to be in debt. They may not want their kid to have the same experience in college. And they now are thinking, man, college is scary. Stuff happens on campus that I'm no longer in control of.
Yes.
But now think about this. What are they going to do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's all I want them to think about is at some point, do we want them to fly the nest and do we want them to adult and start a family and have the same wonderful quality of life that we gave them? Because if there's no vision and no plan, it's a plan that will fail.
Yes, yes, yes. I just even love how you got him to think about 30,000. I would be so, because it can feel like a lot of money until you get into asking those really good questions like, well, have you thought about a car? Have you thought about car insurance? Have you thought about how much it's going to cost you, where you're going to live, if you want to buy a house? I mean, such good questions to get them thinking because they're not
Yeah.
thinking about that. I
And
know
I
I wasn't
wouldn't,
thinking about it. I would have loved it. Somebody, I think I would have, but it would have been, I know it would have been really valuable for me to think about it.
And here's the thing. So, parents, you have different relationships with all of your children. And I do have to caution you. This conversation with child one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, how many is going to look very different. And it really depends when you ask your child, how was their day? And they say, fine. And that's all you get out of them. You better have somebody else do this with them
Yeah,
because that is not going to get any easier. If you have a child who sits down after school and wants to tell you all about the drama that went on, all about the test scores, all about the stuff in their world, yeah, they're ready. But I would have a grandparent or a mentor, an aunt, an uncle, a best friend, somebody who could have this conversation with your child where it's not going to feel judgmental.
yes.
Because if it feels judgmental, they're going to shut down and this is going to backfire huge. When they do it with me, I start every conversation like this. My job is to get you what you want. That's my job. If you want me to help you, I need you to tell me what you want. I have no other job. I won't ask you to do chores, homework, none of that. But I need to know how I can help you best. And they're like, yes, okay, let's do this. I'm in. Because there's nothing else that I'm judging them on. I don't care where they go to college. I care that they can understand themselves well enough to pick the best college for their fit.
Yeah.
And that is easy once we hit that stage,
Once you answer all of those other questions.
for sure.
Gosh, I wish I had have had you with my kids because then you even it changes everything about the lens that you're looking through. So,
Hmm.
and how you go about the whole process. So, just speak a little bit. So you go through that process. Do you end up if somebody comes to you in eighth grade, let's say, do you meet with them? You kind of talk to them a little bit, get them going, and then do you spread it out like you'll talk to them a year later? How does that work?
So it depends on where they're at. I have some seventh graders that are more mature than seniors that I have. I have some eighth graders that are so immature that they are not ready to have this kind of
Yeah.
conversation.
Mhm.
So I always have to go back to every child is unique and we have to treat them where they're at. So with that in mind, think of your child. And the first thing that we do when I meet with a family is I assess, is this child ready to have these conversations? Because if not, I can send the parent out with here are some things I'd recommend that you do. No charge. Good luck. Here's some free resources. Let's circle back and check in 6 months or a year. If I have somebody who is blowing my mind, they're like my firstborn, well, I want to do this and that and this and that. And I'm like, let's go, we're on. We really have to put that as the first stop of checking it out. The other thing is for a student, I always ask them, do you want to go to college? Again, there's no shame, blame, nothing if you don't want to. But let's save you and me and your parents a lot of time and frustration if you don't. And I've had some students say, I don't want to go. My parents are making me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that is, thank you. Thank you for being so genuine. And you know what? Let's talk about that. So if you don't want to go to college, let's talk about what you do want to do. Well, I don't know. Okay, well, that's an interesting thing we need to consider. But do you ever want to move out of your parents' home? Well, yeah, I can't wait to get out of my parents' home. Well, outstanding. So you are motivated to adult, but you're not sure how to get there. Now I know how I can support you. So again, it's helping that student. What is their why? Why am I willing to get good grades, take a test, do community service, do leadership, do extracurriculars, write essays, apply to college? Like, what is their why? Because if their why is not their own, it is going to be a long, long process. Like you said, incredibly painful and stressful. When they're saying, I want this, it's so easy, right? You're a parent. If they want something, they're going to make it happen. All you have to do is give them hugs and high fives and be their cheerleader. I try to help every student get there. And when they do, and we establish their why, then we talk about, great, how are we going to get there? So for one student, it may be like they have a bunch of ideas and they're ready to go. And I have to help kind of bring them back in and help them focus. They're kind of all over the place. And then for other students who are like, they shrug their shoulders and they're like, I have no idea and I'm not good at anything.
Oh,
That's a whole nother conversation. And if a parent says, oh, you're so good at this, you're a parent, they hear wah, 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 wah. Like
yeah.
it doesn't sit. If I ask them, so tell me how you spend your time when you're not in school, and they tell me, I do this and I do that, and I'm like, wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. Tell me more about that. And all of a sudden, I find out that they're really good at a lot of things, but compared to social media, they don't feel like they're very good at anything.
Yeah. 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 That's
That's the challenge.
yes, that's the challenge. And you're there to help them walk alongside, you and their parents in that process.
Right. So
Yeah.
we support the parent just as much as we support the student because a lot of parents went to college several years ago and it was the day of you typed your application and you put a stamp and you hope it received the admissions office. And maybe you applied to maybe one, two, three, or four, and that was kind of it. But I will tell you, many parents would not be able to get into the same college today that they got into in their generation. And so I have to open their eyes to what is the reality that these children are faced with. Like it or not, it's not my want, right? I'm just the messenger of what needs to be done to get into the best fit school, to be able to afford the best fit school, to get scholarships, to get accepted. I can tell them how to do it and walk along with them, but really it's educating both the parent and the student because it's changed so much.
Yes, that's good because yeah, we need that too. And through the overwhelm, we need that support to get clear around what our goals are.
Right.
So that's where if you go, well, my kid wants to go to this college, but we can't afford it, then
Mhm.
that's where you help them to figure out what steps they need to take. If they're
Right.
could get into that college, then what might we do so that we can make that dream a reality? Is that then what you do with them?
Right. And everybody wants to know the secret. The secret is the list, the colleges you're applying to. That is the most critical piece. But if you don't do everything leading up to it, you have no essays to write about. If you just wake up one day and say I'm going to apply to college and you complete the application, what are you going to talk about? How are you going to fill it out? And so many people are just like, I just want them to go to this school. When in reality, we need to figure out what is the best academic fit, the social fit, and the financial fit. And then we need to have some reach schools, some comfort schools, some safety schools. Then we need to be able to have some generous schools. So last year, we had 20 students get $10.2 million in scholarships. That was on top of need base. The money is there, parents. I can tell you the most generous colleges in the world because my students have gotten into them, but you can't Google it. And that's where the frustration is. It's like doing your own taxes and wanting to save and not pay taxes. You can't just Google it and figure it out, or buying a home and not wanting to pay full price. You just don't Google it. You hire professionals who know how to do that, and that is how they can support you. So it's really about educating families on what they need to do to first get in, to make sure it's a good academic, social, and financial fit. If they want big scholarships, we need to do financial negotiations and reconsiderations, drive down their student aid index so they can complete the FAFSA. There's so much that can be done, but I think many parents either don't want to add to their already very busy plate, or it sounds like a lot of work, or it's just scary and they just don't want to deal with it. But please do not think your 17-year-old or the high school counselor can do this for you.
Yeah, it's such a great investment to start, to invest your money so that you're going to be able to save money and get the most for the money that you do spend. If you have to spend money, you might not. They might be able to get in debt free.
Right.
So, yeah,
And
yeah,
parents, think about it like this. Sometimes colleges is an emotional purchase, right? And think about it, if you owned the college, you were the admissions person, or maybe let's just say you're in business for yourself, and a teenager comes to you and they say, I really want a job. Can I please have a job with you? And you're like, great. What's your experience? And they're like, well, I've never really done anything, but I really, really want to work for you. And you're like, okay, I like you. Here's minimum wage. And then another child comes up and they say, I really want to work for you. And they're, what's your experience? Here's my resume. I can do this job from the first day I hit the ground. Outstanding. I will pay you extra because you bring extra value and make my life easier. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
hmm
That's what colleges do. That's an important thing to consider. Everybody can earn a scholarship if they want to work hard to get a scholarship. But just showing up and wanting it is not enough. They have to have something more. And it doesn't have to be ingenuine. It could be, I'm really good at this thing, right? They love it. They would do it in their spare time. That's scholarship worthy. That's what people need to wrap their mind around versus how do I just do it for free? It doesn't work like that. It works as what has the student done to earn that scholarship money? That's the part people need to wrap their mind
yeah,
around.
yeah. Gosh, Shelly, this is so good. We could even have you come back and just talk about all the financial piece alone because we didn't touch on that as much. But I'm got all these moms that are clicking through my head that I have to reach out to and tell them to talk to you. So to start, and you start out just by a phone call, right? How did they contact you? Tell them about that process.
Sure. So for your listeners, if they go to collegereadyplan.info, info, Okay,
Okay.
collegereadyplan.info. They will get 30 minutes where we can help them navigate whatever it is they need to navigate. And maybe they get on the call and they're like, Shellee, just don't even know what I need to be doing now or next, or how do I help my child, or whatever that question is. It's my gift to your listeners because I believe that sometimes it's our lack of knowledge that is the most terrifying and we don't know where to start.
Mhm.
So after that 30 minutes, if you decide, hey, I really need some support, we have 7 different ways we can support you. I have 2 best-selling books I'm happy to put you in touch with. The one, How to Send Your Student to College Without Losing Your Mind or Your Money, it's on Amazon. I think I have it at 99 cents right now because I want everybody to have a copy. So please know, parents, I'm here for you. I'm happy to support you and provide resources that whatever it is that you need.
Yeah. You love what you do, you can tell.
I do. I'm very, very fortunate. I
Yeah.
learned early on that my happiness comes from inspiring teenagers.
Yeah, isn't that neat to just really, you practice what you preach. You got in touch with what really lights you up and what you love to do. And that makes all the difference. And we want that for our kids too.
For sure. I mean, that's the greatest gift, right? When your child is enjoying their career and you're like, I did okay, right?
Yeah.
If they're miserable, it's not that you did something wrong, parent. That's not at all what I'm saying. It's truly like it just feels good when your child is feeling good, whatever in their career, in their life, or whatever. It's hard when your child is struggling. And I've been there too. I know what that feels like.
Yes. And helping your kid to think ahead, walking them through all those things, I think is so important. Thinking about how much do you even want to make? And how
Mhm.
much things cost and all of that. So, yeah, yeah. So good. Well, Shellee, thank you for what you do. Thank you for coming on today. And I will share all those links in the notes, listeners, so that you can go and you can get in touch with Shellee and you can check out all of her resources and her books and everything. So, thank you so much.
It's been my pleasure. Parents, if you need anything at all, please reach out. We're here to support you.